up, everybody? Welcome back again. It's Joseph R. Wheeler III, the artist, the founder, the president of the ONYXCON Foundation. Let's go. Here we are again. Here we are again for another one. That's right. Second today. Went live earlier, straight out the kitchen. Up in the kitchen. Just cooking with y'all. Yeah. Good times, good times. Always good times. Now check this out, y'all. I just got me a new blade. Actually, it was a lost and found. It was lost and I found it. It was lost and I found it. Yeah, look at that. Look at that right there. You know what I'm saying? Nice little blade. Nice little blade. I went fishing the other day, found it. Literally, if you haven't seen my new video, I got a new one out where I was in the woods and came across a moccasin. Unfortunately, I didn't get the snake on camera. I wish I had, because y'all, I know people don't believe nothing. You know, people don't believe nothing. You tell them, oh, I'm telling you, I saw it. You cap. All these little kitty-minded people talking about cap. But if you grown, you know, anybody who fishes, anybody who does outdoor content, you know it's real. When you watch the video, you know it's real. But I was walking on a trail, and I got to an area where it was a clear. It was so beautiful back there. I still can see how beautiful. That was a beautiful, beautiful spot. Like that's the kind of area you dream of fishing. Like that's made for catching. And I mean, it was shaded, so if it get hot, the trees around you, but it was just enough space for you to cast where you don't, it ain't like you cast and you just gonna always hit the trees and stuff. You had enough space so you could actually cast out, with your rod and reel, do your thing as a fisherman. And so I was like, as soon as I walked over in the area, if you've been hiking and fishing as long as I have, you can feel the energy of an area. And I just felt like something's here. As soon as I had that thought, I heard it just into the water. I heard it slide off of the limb and it hit the water and went on in. And I saw the tail. I saw the tail unraveling off of the tree. And at least the part I saw was at least, a foot. So, and I saw how thick the tail was. I said, that's a big snake. That was it was either a moccasin or a water snake. But from my experience, either one, the thing about those two is they look almost identical except for the head when they get older. When they're young, it's one thing, but when they get older, and this is an older snake, they're going to have like this, depending on where they're at, depending on the diet, depending on a lot of factors, they're going to have like a muddled pattern. The pattern is going to get diluted. The older they get, especially this happens a lot with moccasins, the pattern's not as bold. You don't see the variation of their pattern. That starts to become muted and they almost look black or dark brown or dark gray at best, but mostly dark black or dark brown. So I saw that going into the water. I said, damn, that's a moccasin. Okay, I'm trying to fish over here because they territorial. They're going to come back. He may have dipped in the water for a minute, but he'll be back. You start fishing and you ain't paying attention, he'll be right next to you like, hey, how you doing? He'll be like, what the? So appreciate the thumbs up. And so I said, man, okay, I gotta think about this. And so while I'm looking at the scene of this beautiful area to fish, I noticed all these people done left some damn trash. I'm like, people get on my nerves, man. I don't care what your activity is, don't leave trash. Like, what is it with some people to just like throw stuff out their window, throw stuff when they walk and just eat something, throw it? No, you idiot. No. That is the worst thing that so many people naturally do. They just, and I'm gonna tell you something about that. Something I realized about that. It's not that, it's almost evolutionary that people do that. Because as you know, we are mammals, right? And we are seed, stay with me, some of y'all ain't gonna be able to handle this. This is heavy knowledge. We are seed distributors just like everything else in nature. Everything you eat, there's a plant that has seeds. When you poop, what? You provide fertilizer and the seed. Get out your mind about how nasty it is. We talking about doo-doo. Grow up, all right? We talking science here. So naturally, whatever you poop out onto the ground, natural soil, it has the potential to possibly grow. So evolutionary wise, it's natural that we will throw things down because we used to eat nothing but natural stuff as original human beings. We didn't have something wrapped in freaking plastic. You know, if you got an apple, it was just straight off the tree. It was an apple. It wasn't packaged in a plastic bag or anything. It was just an apple, right? So, you know, if you eating and you got to the core and you got the seeds in your mouth, you spit the seeds out. Okay, cool. Now the seed is going to possibly grow. It's another chance to have more. Thank you for the thumbs up and the love. Somebody here the knowledge and understands. So it's not that it's not natural that people throw things down. It's that we become these other people that have all this artificial shit around our lives. Like I'm talking to you on this cell phone and y'all all over the world listening and looking at me, right? But this is not natural. This is something that is so human, it only exists in human existence. All of this technology and half of the stuff that we think is just everyday normal, none of this stuff is really it's us fabricating our own reality, but it has nothing to do with the absolute natural. Now, I'm not getting into good and bad, ain't about that. It's just function versus dysfunction. When I say that just stop throwing trash on the ground, fight the nature in you to be like, okay, I got what I needed out of it. I'm gonna throw this down. No. First of all, hopefully you have some parenting, which is the problem, so many people, to know not to do that. You don't litter, right? See, the idea of littering didn't even exist when we were just completely natural and everything we ate was natural. Everything we wore was natural. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you hunt and gathered for, you wove it, you conditioned it to be your clothing, your beatery, your everything. You know, but that's going back to prehistoric and into ancient. But after that, it gets into everything else and it all gets muddled. You got a little bit of that psychology that's the ancient and the prehistoric mixing with the super high tech. And you notice I'm not using words like advanced because it's not really, I mean, why is it so advanced if it's got so many failures and so many fucked up problems about it? So it's not about good versus bad or better and all that. It ain't about that. I'm just talking about logic, just simple logic, right? Okay. So I'm saying it makes sense why people do it. If you watch a little kid, just a little kid that ain't never been taught, a little baby, you give them something to eat. As soon as they get the part they want, if they bite down, like if you try to get all the seeds out and they get a seed, they might not, they might swallow it. Again, still natural because it's gonna come out in the poop. The poop is supposed to get the ground, natural, and it might grow another whatever. But that ain't the life we live in most cases. So they're gonna get there and they're gonna spit it out, right? Or or whenever they just get tired of eating it, they're gonna throw it down. It's the natural instinct. I understand it. But we are in a modern time, so it ain't natural. All right. Now I went on that long tirade because it's a good one and somebody needed to hear that. So thank you. Thank you for the 3 thumbs up. Somebody needed to hear that. But back to the story, right? This is the unnatural result of something. Like I said, I'm in this area and I see all this trash, and I'm like, and it wasn't a lot of trash. It was just enough to notice some people had been over there fishing and they left their mess. They had a bag from whatever little store they was at. There was some packaging looked like, I don't know. I couldn't tell really what that was. I think it was for some beef jerky or something. I don't eat that, so I don't know what that was for. But I think it was a beef jerky pack. And they had ate it because there wasn't no food left in it. It was just the plastic, right? And it was like the plastic bag from the grocery store, gas station, whatever, probably gas station. And then there was the knife. I said, oh shit, that's a nice knife. And I like knives. I collect knives. Blades and ballistics. If you know, we got content here I call Blades and Ballistics, where we get into the whole history, culture, recreational use, survival use, everything like that. But primarily just from a. Right now, we're going light on it. We'll get heavier whenever I get an opportunity to go to events and stuff. Like I plan to try to go to a gun and knife show at some point this spring or summer. At some point, I want to try to go to one and cover that for y'all as some Blades and Ballistics content. Because my people who love it, y'all understand and y'all like it. Because I get good numbers on all that stuff. Whenever I do some shooting content, y'all be throwing some hundreds and thousands on it. So I appreciate the views. So, really nice knife on the ground. I said, man, that's not bad right there. So at first I wasn't going to get it because I thought, is it worth cleaning it and stuff? And it wasn't really that dirty or nothing. It ain't really dirty at all. I was like, you just almost feel like it's too good to be true. So I was like, Then I said, then I'm thinking about the snake too. I'm like, how many other snakes? I saw one snake. I reached down. Is there another one that I didn't even notice yet? Let me look around the area. So I came back and got it. But the bottom line is, I got it, cleaned it off. It's a damn knife. It's a damn good knife. It's a good little solid knife. You know. It needs sharpening. I did a little basic sharpening on it. I think I got it okay, but I want to do a better sharpening to it or whatever. But it's nice little blade. You know what I mean? So anyway, so hell, I already came up on that. Got a nice blade out of the situation, and I got a chance to fish that area later in the day. Because the first time when I saw the snake, I said, okay, I'm not gonna stand over here now. When I went back at the end of the day, y'all will see this video. I already edited it. I'm gonna be putting it up later on today. But I have a whole video that shows the whole, more or less the whole experience. You know, it's edited. You know, I edit out the boring parts and just leave the real good stuff that y'all want to see. You know. And hold on for a minute.